There is a moment that happened somewhere on this planet between 100,000 and 200,000 years ago. We do not know exactly when. We do not know exactly where. We do not know who it was. But we know it happened. And we know that before it happened, the creature that would become you was just another animal wandering the earth. Hunting. Eating. Sleeping. Surviving. Nothing more. And then one day, that creature walked to the edge of a still pool of water. And looked down. And saw a face looking back. And for one single terrifying moment, it did not know what it was looking at. Every animal that has ever lived has seen its own reflection. Dogs see it. Cats see it. Lions see it. They all look. They all react. And then they all do exactly the same thing. They look away. Because their brain tells them it is not important. But this creature did not look away. It stared. And something happened inside its brain that had never happened in the 4 billion-year history of life on this planet. It recognized itself. And in that single moment, the entire course of human history changed forever. Let's go back to the beginning. We are talking about a creature that is technically human but barely recognizable as one. It walks upright. It uses basic tools. It lives in small groups of 20 to 50 individuals. It communicates with simple sounds and gestures. But it has never once thought about itself. Not because it is stupid, but because no animal thinks about itself. Animals experience the world. They feel hunger. They feel fear. They feel pain. But they do not sit and wonder who is feeling those things. They just feel them. There is no inner voice. No self-narration. No moment of lying awake at night thinking about who you are and why you exist. Just experience. Raw and unfiltered and completely unexamined. That is every animal that has ever lived. Until one of them looked in the water. Scientists have a test for self-recognition. They call it the mirror test. You take an animal and you put a mark on its body without it knowing. Then you show it a mirror. If the animal touches the mark on its own body after seeing the reflection, it has passed. It knows the reflection is itself. Almost every animal on Earth fails this test. Dogs fail it. Cats fail it. Most monkeys fail it. Most birds fail it. The animals that pass are so few you can count them on one hand. Great apes. Elephants. Dolphins. A single species of crow. And us. But here is the thing about all those animals that pass the mirror test. They pass it and then they move on. They show mild curiosity. Maybe they touch the mark. Maybe they look at the reflection from different angles. And then they lose interest and walk away. Only one species on this entire planet looked at its own reflection and could not let it go. Only one species looked at itself and immediately started asking questions. Who is that? What am I? Why am I here? Now imagine being the first one. Not just the first human to recognize itself. But the very first creature in the history of life on Earth to experience that moment. You are not standing in front of a clean mirror in a laboratory. You are crouching at the edge of a still pool somewhere in ancient Africa. The water is dark. The light is low. You have just finished drinking. And then you see it. A face in the water. Your first instinct is that it is another creature. Your hand reaches for a stone. Your body tenses. The face in the water tenses at exactly the same moment. You move left. It moves left. You tilt your head. It tilts its head. And something shifts. Deep in a part of your brain that has never been activated before in the history of your species, something clicks. That is me. 3 words that no creature had ever thought before. 3 words that would eventually lead to language. To art. To religion. To philosophy. To science. To every single thing that makes humans different from every other living thing on this planet. That is me. Neuroscientists who study self-recognition say that the moment a brain first becomes capable of recognizing itself is one of the most significant cognitive leaps in the history of evolution. Because self-recognition does not just mean knowing what you look like. It means knowing that you exist. It means understanding that there is an inside and an outside. That the world around you is separate from the thing experiencing it. That you are a subject looking at objects rather than just another object moving through the world. Before that moment, the ancient human had no concept of self. No sense of I. No inner world. No private thoughts. No past self to remember or future self to worry about. Just the present moment. Over and over and over again. After that moment, everything changed. Because once you know you exist, you cannot unknow it. Once you have an I, that I starts asking questions. And the first question that I ever asked was the same question it is still asking today after hundreds of thousands of years. Why am I here? The discovery of self did not bring peace. It brought terror. Because the first thing self-awareness gives you is the ability to imagine your own death. Before self-recognition, death was just something that happened. An animal in a herd sees another animal die. It registers danger. It moves away. It does not grieve. It does not lie awake that night thinking about its own mortality. But once you have a self, once you understand that you exist, you immediately understand that you can stop existing. And unlike every other animal on Earth, you cannot unfeel that. Anthropologists believe that the explosion of ritual and ceremony in ancient human cultures, the sudden appearance of burial practices, of grave goods, of offerings and ceremonies and sacred sites, was a direct response to this moment. Ancient humans did not develop religion because they were spiritual. They developed religion because they were terrified. Because one day they looked in the water, saw themselves, and realized they were going to die. And they needed an answer. But here is the most extraordinary part of this entire story. That moment at the water's edge did not just create fear. It created everything else too. Because a creature that knows it exists can also know that other creatures exist. It can imagine what other creatures are feeling. It can feel empathy. It can feel love not just as instinct but as a choice. A creature that knows it exists can look up at the night sky and feel small. And feel wonder. And decide to try to understand. A creature that knows it exists can pick up a piece of charcoal and press it against a cave wall and make a mark and think I was here. I existed. Someone should know. The oldest known cave paintings are between 45,000 and 65,000 years old. They are not maps. They are not instructions. They are not practical in any way. They are just hands. Ancient humans pressed their hands against cave walls and blew pigment around them, leaving the outline of their own hands preserved in stone. Not to communicate anything useful. Just to say I existed. Just to leave proof that once, a long time ago, someone stood here and knew that they were alive. That ancient human at the water's edge had no idea what they had started. They did not know that the strange feeling washing over them would eventually become every philosophy ever written. Every religion ever practiced. Every poem ever spoken. Every painting ever made. Every love letter ever sent. They just knew that the face in the water was theirs. And that for the first time in the history of life on this planet, something was looking at the world and knowing that it was looking. Not just seeing. Knowing. That is the moment you were born. Not when you took your first breath. Not when your heart first beat. But hundreds of thousands of years ago, at the edge of a still pool of dark water in ancient Africa, when one frightened ancient human looked down and saw themselves for the very first time. And could not look away.